Welcome back to Thoughts from the Round Table, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jacob.
I'm Pierce, and we are your hosts, as you might know. This is episode 7 of Thoughts on the Round Table. We are covering the movie Knives Out this week.
Just a little explanation from Pierce and I. The reason we didn't have an original episode last week was because of coronavirus.
Yeah, as you guys might know, and as you're probably experiencing, it's kind of hard to do anything right now. The times are a little bit tense, some might say, like the strings of a guitar. But there's been Indiana, which is the state we live in, has been on like a stay-at-home order, so it's been hard to find time where we can actually like get together legally.
Yeah.
So the schedule we had kind of set is kind of up for what's the word?
Grabs?
Interpretation.
Oh.
That's not even the word I'm looking for. Basically, here's what I'm trying to say, right? Because of the random chimp event, we are going to be at a less frequent upload schedule, maybe. If we can do it, we will do it.
Yeah.
But if we can't do it, we won't. And I guess the only way you guys can find out would be to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, I think we're going to just try to have as normal of an upload schedule as we legitimately can.
Yeah.
I mean, worst comes to worst, we just have a Clone Wars quickie come out where Pierce and I talk on Skype. And it won't sound good, but you can suck it up.
Yeah.
You know, there's other content you can listen to while you have to stay inside.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's our bad, but there's not a lot we can do about it, so.
No, I hope you guys are having a little bit of a better time.
Yeah, because it's hard.
It's hard. Like, this whole kind of situation's a little bit rocky.
Yeah.
In almost every way. And so, stay safe, stay healthy, don't go to grocery stores.
Fact.
That's your thing. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
So as Pierce said about what feels like 1,000 minutes ago, we'll be covering Knives Out, and please join us at the round table.
So this movie's kind of awesome.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Jacob, first time watching, I'll tell you one thing about this movie is that it definitely is a better watch the second time. Because there are so many like little clues sprinkled in, little detective bits that you kind of miss on the first one. It's a well done movie, and it shows.
Yeah, I think out of all the movies we've reviewed, just if you look at it from an objective standpoint, which you might say, you idiots, you never look at anything from an objective standpoint. True, but I'm getting ready to for about 5 seconds, then we'll go back to being stupid.
Okay.
But just looking at this movie from an objective standpoint, I feel like it's probably the best one we've reviewed so far.
I'd say the only competition could be Joker.
Me too, but I think just from I've had so much fun watching this movie.
Yeah, it didn't make me wanna gouge my eyes out.
Right. So I think, first of all, if you haven't watched the movie, go watch it. It's a blast.
It's a blast, and you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get this podcast. That's for sure.
Yeah, because if I was just turning on this podcast like, oh, this looks interesting, I want to see this movie. Now, I have seen this movie. You won't enjoy it as much. So
True.
Go watch it. So I think we should just dive right into what I liked about the movie.
Yeah, go for it.
I've never been a big fan of mystery.
The whodunits?
Yeah. So let's hop in the time machine for just a frog hair of time.
A frog hair.
I don't know. When I was in middle school, I read these great books, The 39 Clues.
Oh, I do remember.
You remember
the 39
those?
Clues. There was a blue one that had bones on the cover.
Yeah, great. Those were the only mysteries I ever really got into, and they were nothing like this. So, I mean, the only other mystery I've ever thought about watching was Murder on the Orient Express, but that's just because it had a special someone in it, but that's beside the point.
Let's get on to that point. Who is the special someone?
Daisy Ridley.
Daisy Ridley?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's hot.
Yeah, that's the only reason I was going to watch it.
That's
anyway.
fair reason.
Yeah, anyway. This movie was kind of a slow start, but it makes up for it, not only in the ending, but just in the little bits of humor that are sprinkled throughout them setting the scene, essentially.
Yeah.
Because it makes you feel that you know what they're doing. I think that's always been my problem of why mystery is uninteresting, in a sense. I just know they're setting the scene to surprise me at the end. But this movie, it almost didn't feel like that. It was a little boring, but not a lot you can do. You got to meet the characters. Every character was like, even if they said a few words, you felt like you knew them. Like they were well written, and just like the way they were talked about and the way they were like dressed even was so good at showing their personality and their interests that it just made every character feel like, I know them, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't, like we've talked about on here before, I'm horrible with names. I couldn't really tell you any of their names, but I do know that I liked them. Even though all of them are unlikable.
Yeah, no, there's not really a single likable character. Well,
there are a
few. Not in the family.
No, not in the family.
And so you guys are probably confused about, like, the plot of the movie. Don't worry. We're going to get there in a second. So the whole family bit we'll kind of explain here in a minute. But go on, Jacob.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Sorry.
I think the characters, that was one of the reasons this movie was so fun to watch, is to see how these characters reacted to the different situations that they like essentially wrote.
Yeah.
And so to describe the plot a little bit, because that would be, that whole part, my monologue there still kind of makes sense. But just you haven't listened to us and haven't watched the movie still, here's a little summary.
Yeah, we got lots of fun. The first bit of the movie is just basically meeting the characters. It's like we get brief introductions. Our main man, Daniel Craig, who is Southern in this movie, which, bless his heart, I love Daniel Craig. I love him so much in this movie, partially just because of his voice.
Yeah, his voice, his Southern accent comes out as smooth as molasses. If I was to have more of a Southern accent, I would want it to be like that. Yeah, be like, oh, he's a good old boy from the South.
Yeah, because I think when you get into Southern accents, right, you've got two brands of manly Southern accent. You've got Daniel Craig's Southern accent where he's like, I'm talking like this.
Yeah.
And then you've got country singer country accent, where I'm gonna put that with 2 thumbs down. Here recently, my sister walked into my room playing a country tune. And I think it perfectly summarizes what I'm talking about. And I can't really describe it because you'll just have to go watch the video. But if you're wondering what the other type of country accent is, go watch the video. Don't touch my truck. Do 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 do.
I'm intrigued. I haven't seen this video, but now I want to watch it.
I'll have to show it to you after podcast. It's horrible.
Yeah, I think with Southern accents, you walk a thin line of sounding like an idiot.
Yeah, you either sound really smart or super stupid.
Yeah, you either think, man, like Daniel Craig's character, for example, you're like, he is a smart boy,
Boy.
Yeah, boy. But you hear some people's Southern accents, sometimes like the way mine gets a little bit, and you think, man, these hicks don't know nothing about anything.
Nothing about a single thing back.
Yeah, so that it's over. So our Southern accent tangent is done.
But yeah, we meet him. He's a smart boy detective. He's the Sherlock Holmes of the South, He's got his little sidekicks with him. He's got Fanboy Cop and cop that was also in other movies that I don't remember.
Lakeith Stanfield is his actor's name, but I couldn't tell you his name in this movie.
Yeah, no, me either. Was he given a name?
Sure.
I don't remember.
I think he's a lieutenant. I caught that.
Yeah. Anyways, the 2 cops are really useless characters. You can throw them away and get the same effect of the movie.
They could have been anyone.
Yeah, no special bits. But it comes to the family. You got crazy wife with cool hair. It's white hair.
Yeah, she's played by a girl. I don't know her name, but I know she was in the original Halloween movie.
I am gonna take a little statement here, right? Okay. A little hot take. Are we the worst podcast hosts?
I think that's a possibility.
Because half of the time we try to explain the movies, I've noticed this, we just either make up names or get names and be like, well, he was in something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's how most humans think, so they can deal with it.
Yeah. But no, I think you're right. Like, she was in something else, too. I'm really not picturing it, but was she in the Hunger Games?
I have no idea.
Dude,
she's in a lot of stuff.
Like she's in the Hunger Games.
She's in a lot of stuff. I think it's just the hair that you're thinking of.
Maybe. I don't know. Something about her just, like, vibed Hunger Games with me.
I get that. I think it's the color of her suits.
That also might be it.
They looked very
Hunger
Gamesy.
Yeah, then we got her husband. He's cheating on her.
Yeah.
Rip to him.
Not that important.
Yeah, he's kind of there. We got our main dude who killed himself, slit his throat. What's his Harlem?
Yeah. Harlan. Ironically, he's a mystery writer.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic? Wouldn't you not expect that?
Kind of quirky almost.
Oh, you could say that.
Yeah. Who else do we got? We got Marta. Marta is...
Yeah, she's good.
She's good.
She's one of the few likable characters.
Yeah. She is like his nurse.
Yep.
And they play board games. Or like, what was that game that they
were
playing?
Called Go.
It's called Go?
I don't know. I've heard of it before.
You put like little M&Ms on a thing?
Yeah, and I think you're supposed to like try to not get them blocked in.
Oh, so it's like a game. It's like Snake, like Slither.io.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's way cooler. It's like Primal Slitherio. You guys remember Slitherio, where you were the snake?
It's like Argio.
Is that what it is? Argio?
Either that or Ajario.
I called it Ajario.
I don't know. I just feel like if it was Ajario, it'd be AJAR.io.
Agario.
Yeah.
Those were the EO games.
Yeah.
Those were how you pass the time.
Correct.
Oof, I'm getting real off track. Sorry, my mind's a little spacey today.
Yeah.
But there were other characters. Really, here's the thing, right? The characters themselves, I don't think were that important.
No.
Except for Ransom. We need to talk about Ransom.
Yeah.
Because he was the son. He was, spoiler alert, the done-it of the whodunit.
Yeah.
He did it.
Before we get into Ransom, though, because I feel like he's probably the most important part of the movie.
Yeah, by far.
They have a pretty star-studded cast. Like, I feel like all of these people I've seen in something.
Yeah.
Like, they look familiar, you know? The one girl, she's in a horror movie. The Instagram influencer.
Oh, yeah.
She's really familiar. She's a big actor. Don't know her name, though. Google it. You know what? You guys aren't driving anywhere. You're quarantined. Freaking Google the cast list. We're too lazy.
You're right. I'm pretty sure, though, correct me if I'm wrong, but was the guy with good hair... So, this is, to explain, the first time the dad guy, the cheating husband, came on screen, I was like, he's got good hair. Because he's got good hair.
He does have good hair.
Was that Russell Crowe?
I have no idea. You want me to look it up?
Yeah, look that up, because
I'm just going to pull up the cast list. This is getting ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure that's Russell Crowe. But I don't know really where I've heard, like, I know he's famous.
Okay, so we'll just go through. Marta is someone I've never heard of.
Wasn't this like her debut movie? Or like her first big movie?
If it was...
She killed it.
Someone better be writing checks out and throwing them to her. Because she's a good actor.
She did really good. The scene where she was like crying was pretty impressive. I was impressed.
I was as well. Chris Evans is obviously Ransom. If you've seen the trailers, that's who Ransom is.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Lee Curtis was Linda, who's the one who's married to the guy.
Yeah.
Toni Collette was Joni.
Okay.
She's in a bunch of movies we've seen.
Mm-hmm. She looked familiar.
Yeah. Michael Shannon was Walt. He's in a lot of movies.
Oh, I know. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
He was in Man of Steel.
Was he in Was he the dad? No.
I'm gonna look it up.
No, he wasn't the dad. I'm pretty sure the dad looks like good hair guy.
I'm getting a good hair guy. Just give me him. Good hair guy is Don Johnson.
Am I stupid? I thought for sure that was Russell Crowe.
Don Johnson has been in Miami Vice. That's a TV show that my parents probably liked. He looks so familiar. I feel like I've seen him in every movie.
He's got like one of those faces.
Yeah, I think he does. He was in Tin Cup. That's probably where I've seen him.
I've not seen Tin Cup. What is that? Like a soup commercial?
No, you wouldn't like it.
What's it about?
It's a golf movie.
Oh yeah, I probably wouldn't like that then.
I don't know. Nothing else that I've really seen him in. That's so odd. You're right. He just has one of those faces. We're off topic.
We're like
somehow
so
again.
heavily off topic.
Okay. One more character. There's one character to me that stuck out. Probably hit a little too close to home. And that's the character who I think they made look like Ben Shapiro on purpose.
Yeah, no doubt.
His name was Jacob. He was played by Jaden Martell. I've never heard of this kid, but I know I've seen him in a movie. That movie is It.
Which one was he in It? Oh, do you know what? You're gonna say his name, and I'm not gonna know who you're referring to. So I'll just. Was he the kid who had the stutter? He was the kid with the stutter.
Yeah!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah!
This was a star-studded cast.
Yeah, and this one of my complaints before we continue on with the plot, which we've apparently been talking about what feels like for another hour. But you got a lot of people. Maybe they were just like, let's all get together and do this movie just for fun. Who cares about the old paycheck in our pockets at the end? Kind of feel like these big names like Toni Collette, who I've seen in movies, underused. She was in it. She said what? Probably 5 lines.
I mean, there were some good lines, though.
Yeah, they were good, but like...
The real focus was on Marta, really, the whole movie.
Yeah.
Which I think was a good move.
I do, too. Having someone we don't really know.
Yeah, because I've talked about this. I don't know if it's been on the podcast, but I know I've wrote about it. Sometimes taking, like, words. Sometimes taking, like, an unnamed actress and just kind of, like, throwing her in there. And then, like, the audience doesn't really think. Like, first thing I saw when I saw Daniel Craig was, look, there's Daniel Craig. He's James Bond.
Yeah.
But, like, you think, oh, there's Marta. And you can kind of get more invested in her story because you don't see her as an actor. You see her as a character.
Side note, going off topic again. I think that's what made 1917 so great.
Yeah.
We had 2 people I've never seen in anything before. That as the 2 main characters, I only know them as the boys from 1917.
I don't think I'd know them if I saw them in public.
I don't think so either.
If I walked down the street and I saw the guy from 1917, even though he did a killer job in that movie. 2 of the best both of them. Yeah, no.
2 great performances.
2 of the best I've probably seen in a long time.
Correct.
And I wouldn't know him. I wouldn't recognize him.
I wouldn't either.
And I think that's perfect for that movie. I think it was a good choice for this movie.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important in a whodunit to like not see it, or to actually like get invested in the characters, because that's what you got to do. You got to dig into each character. Because I mean, the best part about like these movies, I know Jacob said he wasn't really a fan of it. I'm the opposite. I love these movies. So like the best part is just looking at each character and kind of forming your own hypothesis of who it is, and then inevitably being proven wrong. And then all the clues are kind of like laid out, and you're like, wow, I'm really stupid. And it's a good thing I'm not going into law enforcement.
Yeah. So who did you think? Okay, so let's talk about Ransom, and then we'll talk about our thoughts on the movie, really.
Okay.
That's what we've kind of been doing this whole time, but that's beside the point.
Okay, quick plot summary, go.
Okay, so we've got a family. Dad's of the family is a rich author. He writes mystery novels. We've kind of been over this. He dies. Apparently killed himself, right? Pierce is showing that, So you're like, okay, cool. Why does this matter? So everyone wants the inheritance money because there's a house, a publishing company.
$60 million in cash.
Some people like that kind of stuff. So everyone's like, gimme, 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 money, money, money. So they obviously are like, hey, let's get this show on the road. I want to go back. Let's get some cash. But alas, there's been a murder. Because someone paid Daniel Craig to investigate it. And you're like, that's kind of silly. That means someone knows there's been a murder. Beside the point, everyone, they're living life. We learn Marta has been kind of the one who killed him.
Yeah, we learned that really early on in the movie.
I was kind of mad.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about this movie. Go, actually, I'll time to talk about that.
Okay, we'll talk about it in a second. Marta accidentally gave him 100 milligrams of morphine, which killed him. But not really, because he cut his neck. So then he's like, it's cool. I get it. I'll protect you. I like you. You're a nice lady. So he's like, I'll just act like I killed myself. And so they go through, and then Daniel Craig is still like, hey, we got to figure this out. Let's get to the bottom of this. And so they eventually, they get the will, and they figure out he's giving all the money to Marta? What? And, everyone's kind of mad or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, rightfully so.
Probably
Would be. Imagine, your granddad, your rich granddad dies, and you're thinking, payday for me. I mean, of course, first you're like, oh, that sucks. But
Not this family.
Not this family. They would be like, ka-ching. They've been waiting for this moment for probably years.
Yeah.
As soon as he hit that ripe old age of 60, they were like, it's about time.
Yeah.
And so he dies. They're excited. Ben Shapiro's excited. He's going to get a new iPad.
Yeah.
And then he gets crushed. And he's giving it to this random girl who takes care of him. I mean, I'd be a little annoyed if I was Ben in that situation.
Right. Yeah. So, we keep continuing on. They're like, Daniel Craig's like, listen, this doesn't make sense. We got to figure this out. And then someone's like, hey, Marta, I know what you did, you turd. They don't say that exactly, but it kind of feels like it, that they're using that type of language toward her. And then it's like, oh, it's Fran. That's her name, right?
Yeah, Fran, you got it.
The maid. And she wants to meet her here. And it looks like that Marta killed her, but then she sends her. This doesn't really make any sense, but just watch the movie.
Yeah, we're trying. If you watch the movie, this would kind of make sense.
Yeah.
It's a complicated plot.
It really is.
And I think, it has to be. It's a mystery.
I think, with movies, sometimes I kind of just zone out.
Yeah.
And play on my phone. And I still can get the gist of it. If you missed a couple things, this whole movie wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, you're right.
So, deal with it. Watch the movie if you haven't. They go, and then Daniel Craig finally figures out the hole inside of the donut. His words, not mine. And that it was Ransom, Chris Evans, who has set up Marta to look like if she was the one who killed him, because he knew she was getting getting the money. And he was like, hey, not on my watch. I have a BMW, and I would like to keep it. That's a short version.
I mean, when you're listening to that, you're going to think, wow, that makes no sense. Fair. But if the movie is so meticulously detailed, to try to describe this movie's plot in under 10 minutes would be legitimately impossible.
I agree. I feel like they could have had this movie longer and fit more detail and drawn out the plot, and it still would have made sense.
Yeah. No, it's just so detailed. I can't get over it. There's so many little things. And I'm sure I don't even have half of it. I've only seen the movie twice. I'm sure if I sat down again, I'd catch even more. It's everywhere.
Even
clues.
I think my favorite part, maybe this will turn me on to the mystery genre. But the little parts, like when she says, instead of you, she says Hugh, which is Ransom's real name. And she's like, wait a minute. She said Hugh did this, not you did this. And you're like, what? I wouldn't have noticed that. Like, they had to come up with they had to come up with the plot and then make a guy named Hugh. They had the ending before they did the beginning. How wild is that?
It's a donut.
And then some of the little things is what made this movie so enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
Like just the way the family picked on each other and argued all the time. Hilarious.
And there's intelligent little things. I don't know if you noticed this. I didn't notice it till I watched the YouTube video essay. But when they're arguing about politics, D- Um, and they're talking about like Trump and the immigrants, and then they call Marta in because she's an immigrant, and she's like, they did this, you did this the right way, and he's like, no, I respect her, I just want to hear her, as he's like passing her his plate nonchalantly, already like degrading her as help.
Yeah,
That's just like those little details that you would not get unless you really analyzed it.
another funny thing to show like they kind of think she's a piece of garbage is every time they said, "Oh, she's from blank," it was a different place. It was like Portugal, Brazil. Like every time it was different.
Did you notice this? Every time, every one of the cast came up to her and said, "I think you should have been out at the funeral. I was outvoted." Every member of the family.
Whoa.
Yeah.
There's so much to this movie.
It's so, I don't know. It's exhilarating to watch. That's what's the best part about mysteries. I don't know. Have you seen Sherlock?
Like the TV show? Yeah.
Great. That's probably my favorite of all time of the whodunit genres.
Yeah.
But this one kind of ties in. If you like Sherlock, you're gonna like this movie.
I agree.
It's not like Murder on the Orient Express. I'll tell you that for a fact, because that movie was buns.
Yeah. Cheeks.
It was so bad. I watched it. I was thinking one night, I'm gonna be a little cool. I don't usually, dabble in movies that I've never heard of, but I'll just turn this one on. And wow, was I just left underwhelmed. Like, I think that what's his face? I think that Indiana Jones. I just recently rewatched it, so that's where my mind's at. But I think Indiana Jones has more of a mystery than freaking Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah. I think we need to talk, because the best part, the little stuff is great. The characters, great. The ending,
unbelievable.
So good. I didn't see it coming at all. Granted, I'm stupid. But again, I didn't see it coming at all. And just the way they like went back and showed you the little details. I like that. We've talked about this on the podcast before. We hate flashbacks. Rarely do people do them good. This movie did them excellently. Is that a word?
I think it can be.
Well, I just used it.
I think, yeah, no, you're right with those little details, especially because this is way the idiots in the audience, like us, we're the stupid ones that this was for, because you're not going to get those little details. So, like, it's going to give you a flashback, like, ha, look, I'm clever. You could have got this if you paid any bit of attention. And, like, a lot of mysteries, like, don't do that as well. Like, they have the guy monologuing, but they don't show it happening. But, like, before the flashbacks, because the flashbacks were already scenes we saw in the movie. They were all scenes we already saw in the movie, which is why I think it worked well. It didn't flash back to something we didn't see. So it's like, it shows us that they were clever enough, and if we paid any attention, we could have actually solved it.
Yeah. I think maybe that's why I haven't really liked mystery. They didn't show me where they really did put it in there, essentially, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In this case, they like showed this was all laid out for you. I'll show you. And then they flash back to those scenes. It's like, yeah, here it was. Here's her saying you instead of you. I just can't get over that point. So I'm going to just say it simple. I just can't get over that. Anyone who pays any amount of attention,
That's the word.
Would say, well, yeah, you idiot. Of course. Of course that makes sense. Hugh and you sound the same. My mind is freaking blown.
I think there's a lot of those moments. And I think one of the huge reasons, I think we've mentioned this probably before in this podcast, but the humor is so spot on in this movie. It's so dry.
Yes.
I love it.
I do too.
It's so perfect because it doesn't take away from the actual, like, severity of the plot.
Yeah.
But, like, it's there and it's so funny. Like, this movie could be probably like a comedy.
I think you could label it as that and it would make sense.
Yeah. It's like, this movie is what I wish Will Ferrell's Sherlock Holmes movie would have been.
Man, if it was, that'd be great.
Like, because this movie proves that the whole funny Sherlock Holmes could work.
Yeah.
You know?
Because they could have... Daniel Craig is a funny Southern Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, he literally is. And it's perfect. And it works. And it doesn't feel disingenuous. You know what I mean? Because I felt like as soon as they announced that Will Ferrell... What was it called? Holmes and Watson. They announced that, and I thought, wow, I am a big Sherlock Holmes fan. They can't do a mystery and make it funny. I was like, that's going to take away all of the joy of a mystery. And that's kind of how I was coming into this movie. I was like, I saw the trailers. I chuckled at the trailers. And I was like, well, I don't know. It's probably going to be all right. But I don't think I'm going to be into it because if they rely too heavily on the jokes. But it works.
I think this movie, although it would be worse without the comedy, it still makes sense as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if you take out parts of this movie, like the little things, you'll still have it. It's just not as good. But again, that's what separates good movies from bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
Good movies hit on all the checkpoints, and they include the little stuff to keep you paying attention.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't think you could really... Like, imagine watching this movie and not having the scene where he's like, this mystery is a donut.
Yeah.
And there's a hole in the donut, and I thought yours was the donut hole to fit in the donut. But there was another hole in the donut hole. I found out that it was actually a donut in and of itself. Like,
yeah, like...
That's perfect.
It also eases the tension to make it an easier watch.
Yeah.
You're still nervous of what's going on, but not near as much. You're like, listen... I don't care what happens. This movie's good.
Yeah.
I think that's where this movie really... Its goal was to make people laugh and pretty much not know what the end is, and they succeeded.
Also, a little underused, underappreciated point is it portrays, generational divides really well in this. It shows that the writers actually, not only just understand their generation, but understand the generation above and below.
Yeah.
Because so many times, millennials are like a tired trope in movies, the lazy millennial. And I mean, it still is that kind of to an extent, but it's a much more intelligent take on them.
And they have the hilarious Gen Z characters.
I feel like it's really hard for movies to get Gen Z's culture, because Gen Z culture is absurd.
Truly.
The layers of irony that you have to unravel to get the humor of our generation is remarkable. I think our friend Nathaniel talked to me about this, and he's like, the whole mindset of a Gen Z humor could be taught in schools. Because it's absurd. You have to dive so far in. Our culture will not laugh at a normal joke.
Right.
If you hear a normal joke that's funny, we won't laugh. But if you show me a picture of a trash can that just has text that says trash can, I'm gonna laugh.
Or you have something and it's deep fried and then it says something just random. You're like, well, that's comedy.
Yeah, that's comedy. And I think it just gets that mannerisms of Gen Z people so right. And it shows the divide in a lot of Gen Zs. With the one character who they called a liberal snowflake.
Yeah, and then...
The other one was an alt-right Nazi.
Yeah, and he was fighting SJWs.
That's perfect.
This movie hits you said it before about generations. Any generation will sit down and find humor in this movie.
Yeah.
Any member of any generation will think, that's funny. And oh, there's the stupid generation before me. Or the younger generation will be like, stupid boomers.
Dumb boomers.
Yeah.
Dumb old people.
Yeah, I just think this movie, I don't know how you can make it better for sure. I think it hit all of its marks.
The only thing I think that can make this movie better is cut out some of the... what was the parts that just bore me? It was in the beginning. It was after the introductions, but before the what's it called, where they all met in the will reading. Some of that in between, I think, could have got shrunk down.
Yeah, I could see that. But I just think,
I mean, it was there for a purpose, and
Yeah.
it served that purpose. But I just think like that was the only thing that kind of like, oh well, I'm uninterested right now.
yeah. I think those are really all the opinions we have on Knives Out. But before we wrap this episode up, we have a new segment.
We're gonna try something new, my friends.
Obviously,
My enemies.
obviously, we can't cover everything that we do on this podcast. It would be impossible. Maybe down the road, we can look into it. But as of right now, with coronavirus and school,
It's not gonna happen.
it's not. We got mouths to feed. Not really, but I'm just saying that to sound cool.
And not only that, but me and Jacob also don't always watch the exact same things.
No.
I think I think both things that we're gonna talk about today in this segment, neither of us has watched the other one.
No. I have 2 recommendations. One of them's not media.
Well, we need to explain what we're actually doing first. But like I said, we don't watch all the same things, but there's some things that I watch that I want to talk about, and there's some things Jacob watches that I would assume he wants to talk about.
Yes.
So that's going to be this little segment. If you came for Knives Out, click off. The podcast is kind of done.
Yeah.
For you.
We're gonna post this hopefully
On Insta.
Yeah, hopefully you'll see it and maybe be like, oh, I'm intrigued. But then you've already listened to it, so now you're like, let's just skip to the end.
Yeah.
Skip to the end. Let's hear them wrap it up. I'm sick of them. So we're gonna call this Roundtable Rex. Rex stands for recommendations.
I would have never guessed.
Well, now you know because I just said it.
Thank you.
So here's my first recommendation. TV shows. I've had a lot of time on my hands. My recommendation, Ozark Season 3. I've been a fan of the show since day one. I love this show. I watched the whole first season the first weekend it came out on Netflix. The whole second season, the second time it came out. And the third season, so on. Usually sometimes with the show, you're like, oh, you're kind of just doing the same thing over and over again. And Ozark is, just for me, slow in the beginning, but then you're all in toward the end. The same thing is with Season 3. You meet their lawyer. You meet the guy running the cartel. You see them run the casino. You meet Wendy's brother. It is great. This is the best acting so far out of any of the seasons. Unreal acting. Jason Bateman, in case any of you don't know, directs and acts in the TV show, and great job. Just excellent job. Everything about this, especially the cliffhanger at the end of the season. I'm not going to ruin it for Pierce because he watched the first 2 seasons. I don't know if he's going to watch this one, but just in case he does.
I might. But I don't think we should spoil any of these recommendations.
I'm not spoiling.
This is spoiler free, baby.
I'm not spoiling it. But goodness gracious, was it good. I didn't see it coming, and neither will you. But you should check out Ozark Season 3 on Netflix.
So, do you have other recommendations?
Yeah, but you want me to do my all 3?
Oh, you know what? You have 3, I have 2. Okay. So we'll just do this. We'll alternate here.
Okay.
So my first recommendation, I got 2. I got one that's a little bit more funny, and one just a little bit more cool. Right? So let me set the scene for you. You're bored. I get it. I'm there. And you want something to do in your isolation, right? In your quarantine, because there's no social interaction. But you want to feel like you're kind of out in nature and out doing things, right? Boy, do I have the show for you. You probably haven't seen this because it's not popular. But I watched a podcast, actually, with this guy, Forrest Galante. He's on it. And he talks about his show, Extinct or Alive, where he actually goes out in search of, like, animals that have been labeled extinct and finds them, which is kind of mind-blowing. It's like finding Bigfoot, but, like, real. And he does. And it's really impressive. But I think it has a good message for this time, especially, like, right now. You're bored at home. You kind of want to feel that, like, escape of nature. I do, really badly. So this is what I did to kind of remedy that. And it was good. It has a lot of really good messages, a lot of really cool moments, and it's real. Both my recommendations are actually real, but it's definitely worth a watch. You can find it on Animal Planet's app. It's free. You don't have to have a subscription for it. You can just watch both seasons. It's a good time killer. Really interesting.
So my second rec, not a movie, not a TV show. It's a thing to do. Let's say you're bored. It's going to happen to all of us during this quarantine season, as I'm going to call it. Hammocks.
Dude, hammocks are killer.
I have been laying in a hammock reading so much lately. And it is 150% the move. If it's 65 or above, I'm hammocked.
Oh, for sure. No, I'm the same way.
I just got a new hammock. It's got these cool straps, so I don't have to tie anything. Just wrap it around a tree and pull it real tight. I sit in the hammock. And I just want to say, that's the move. If you don't have a hammock, order them from Amazon. $25. Do it. It'll change your life.
All right. Here's my big point. And I can't stress this point enough, right? This is the best documentary series I will say has ever been created. And I will say that confidently. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, I've watched some pretty dang good documentaries, Pierce. What kind of tomfoolery are you preaching on me? And let me tell you, Tiger King on Netflix. It's blown up lately. You've seen the memes. I guarantee it, whether you understood them or not. But listen to me when I say that it is the craziest shit I have ever seen in my entire life. And I can't stress that enough. It is something so mind-bogglingly bizarre. So many twists, so many betrayals, so much that you just can't possibly imagine. That it has to be real. No one could have wrote this. No one could have been insane enough. You would have the amount of creativity it would take to get a plot this compelling is unreal. It follows a polygamous gay redneck who owns over 200 tigers, right? But that's not your only cast of characters. You also got another person who owns tigers. You might be thinking, well, a polygamous gay redneck, that's pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy combination. Who could be crazier than that? Oh, well, this guy, his name's Doc Antle. Yeah, he has like a sex cult where he indoctrinates young women into being his wives. This is in America, by the way. Do you know that? Do you know that the main character of this show ran for president against Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton? Did you know that happened? I didn't. I didn't know. But how could I have not known that? It's mind-blowing. There's so much that happens. I can't even get into it. You might think, well, Pierce, you spoiled it. No, I didn't. I didn't even scratch the surface. It's batshit crazy. And if you want something to watch, you have to watch it. It's unreal. I hope Jacob watches it, and I hope we do a podcast on it, because I could go for hours.
The amount of excitement in Pierce's voice and facial expressions tells me I have to watch this. I will be starting it tonight.
It is. I'll tell you this, right? It's a 7-episode thing. Each episode is about a little over an hour long. And I watched it all in one day. One sitting. Because I couldn't stop. It's so riveting. You're not going to put it down. It's going to be the best decision you make this Netflix season. And if you don't watch it for anything else, do it for the memes. Just so you can understand. This quick story about this. I had my first Zoom class the other day. I know probably a lot of you are experiencing that same thing. In that class, it's a law class, and we talked about Tiger King for like 20 minutes of that class. 20 minutes of the hour class. She was like, I can't say it because I would spoil it, but it's crazy. You got everyone watching it. Be a part of the culture. Embrace it. Love it. It's great.
My final recommendation. I just recently really got into the joys of this sweet, sweet item. And for those of you who don't know, I recently quit Diet Coke. I've loved Diet Coke
Are you going to make a freaking recommendation on...
You've guessed it.
Don't pull out the can.
LaCroix. I've been drinking it like it's water lately.
Well, that's because it is literally water.
It's so good. Sparkling water. Drink it.
I can't believe that.
I can. It's replaced Diet Coke for me. It's perfect. That's my last recommendation. For the quarantine season, you've got 5 things. Let's count down to 5. Number 1, Ozark.
I'll agree.
2,
You got Extinct or Alive.
3, hammocks.
Tiger King.
And LaCroix. That sounds like a party.
That sounds like a party, except maybe the LaCroix. Maybe instead of drinking the devil's urine, you can get a real man's drink, a Great Propel.
Drink LaCroix.
Without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed that podcast. That was a wild ride. If you stuck around this far, Jesus, what are you doing with your life?
Thank you for being one of our true supporters.
If you've got this far, how about you comment down below and you say, "Hey, I got this far."
Or say, "Hey, LaCroix is awesome."
Or say, "Hey, you're drinking the devil's piss."
Well, thank you guys for listening to us ramble about Knives Out and LaCroix and TV shows and hammocks for a long time. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you Friday for Clone Wars Quickie.
Yeah, follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter, check us out on our podcast apps, rate us 5 stars. All the links will be in the description down below.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.